What is this? A flower. Exactly. And if you look at it more deeply, what can you see in it? Hmm? What needed to come together in order for that flower to exist? The sun, water, rain, the seed of the flower. Very good. Huh? The bees, the pollinators to carry the or the wasps.
Nothing to crash. Nothing to crash.
Yeah, it had to survive, it had to be in a protected place, it had to be looked after, it had to be planted. I think this one was planted up there at the reception, probably by the woman who owns the campsite. So she's in that, the clouds are in it, the sunshine is in it, the soil, the earth. The soil also wasn't there from the beginning on. In the beginning there was just pretty bare rock and pretty unfertile soils, and there were lichen, and then there were some mosses, and then there were some plants, and then there were trees, and all that continued for millions of years, and at some point this flower can be here. If you take any of these elements out of the flower, if you take the sunshine out of the flower collapses, it can't exist. If you take the water out of it, it can't exist. Yet our mind tends to just see the flower in isolation from all the other phenomena that actually contribute to it. Okay? Then similarly, if you look at yourself as a human being, if you look at me, then what can you see there? If you look more deeply at it.
Sunshine.
Yeah. So in me too, for example, I've had ancestors which all had to come through, so did you. So in this case I'm kind of you, yeah. So I needed ancestors, I needed parents, grandparents, and all those for me to be. I also need to eat food.
Chicken with curry.
Chicken with curry. Yeah. So I need food, I eat plants, I eat whatever, meat, water. So physically, on the level of my body, there's a constant stream of things that come in, they go out, and yet I experience myself as only me, and I often tend to ignore all the other things on a physical level that make up my body. My body, I think, is recycled almost completely, apart from some of the cells in the bone marrow, which take longer, I think every 7 months or so. Every cell of my body is completely renewed. So I think after 7 years or so, even all the bones are completely renewed. It's completely new matter that's making me. So the person that I was as a little child isn't really there anymore. Not even the person that was there yesterday is standing in front of you now, or is you now. But also on a intellectual level, I think everything that I hear, that I know, that I study about, everything that I see, that touches my brain, my mind, it becomes in some way or another, subconsciously or consciously, part of me. Yeah. So even on that level, on the intellectual level or the psychological level, there's nothing that you could say is me. So I'm not really in isolation of anything. Yet I experience myself as me, and often believe I am separate. Now that brings me to a model that's pretty important as well in our work, and it's the ecological self model. And You're getting bored? No? So, if you look here in the middle, it's a self, written with a small s. And that's the egocentric self. This model is the concentric self model or ecological self model. So, the egocentric self is just this small idea of me. Then it's a model about self-actualization or self-realization. You probably know that concept of self-realization from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which you probably heard about. And at the top he has like self-realization. Of course it's not just something at the top. Once the bottom needs are realized, it's not quite like a pyramid actually, but it's a different subject. So if you for example are a mother and you have children or a father, you start to have a nucleocentric sense of self. Pretty difficult words. I think every father or mother, not every but most, would without thinking give their life for their children. So their sense of self has expanded a little bit to their loved ones, yeah, to their children, for example. Nucleocentric sense of self, and after that it's an anthropocentric sense of self, and that's when your concern includes all human beings, and not only intellectually, but really you're driven to do something about it. You empathize with all human beings. Then the next level out is the biocentric sense of self, which includes all living beings, all animals, mainly. You know, there are some people who put in loads of energy to protect the animals because they identify in a way with them, especially with the panda bears.
Oh, yeah.
Or the whales. And then there's the egocentric sense of self, which is then the self with a big S. And the egocentric sense of self is a sense of self that includes the whole biosphere. And it's not just an idea. Self-realization, it's something that if you really embody that, which probably very few people do, you actually have kind of ceased to exist in your small little mind that constantly reinforces the story of me and I. And the reason why it's so hard to realize that state of being lies probably in the mind and in the constant need to think. Yeah, we're not going to go into that because that's pretty complicated again, pretty hard to understand. But if you start to look at your own mind, what you can probably observe pretty easily with very little practice is that you're constantly thinking. You have almost no way to stop thinking unless you have some deep experiences. For example, when you're climbing or when you're doing anything with great skill and you get into this deep moment of flow, the brain waves are almost stop and you're able to perform at your highest level, although you're hardly thinking. So this constant stream of thought is actually something that cuts us off from that reality, which is here described in this model as the ecological self. It's not that you actually have to do anything to realize that. It's more like you have to find a way to experience some moments of silence to get more and more in touch with that, and to penetrate the world deeper and to see more clearly who we are and what we are.